Hey guys, how's it going? In this video today, I just want to show you some new stuff I brought home. So a lot of you guys know we just got back from the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival in Seattle, Washington. I brought just a few things home from that, but then I was so inspired when I got home that I had to go down to the garden center and I picked up a bunch of stuff. Like dormant plants even. I was just so inspired to plant even though we really can't plant quite yet. So anyway, I thought I would just run through some of the stuff that I got because you will probably be seeing it in future videos, and then I'm going to plant a couple of things. So let me show you the stuff from Seattle first. I have it right on the table behind me. Alright guys, so first off, I picked up these pots that I showed you in the tour of the flower festival. Aren't they so beautiful? These are iron and they're super heavy. Here's my hand for kind of size reference. They're not really that big, but my mom and I both drooled over these. So I bought one for her and one for myself. So I will probably plant hers up or do a flower arrangement in it before I give it to her. And we got these, or I got these at the Christensen's Nursery and Greenhouse. They're out of Mount Vernon, Washington, and I've been there before and I loved their place. So I was really excited to see them at the show, and I just fell in love with these and couldn't pass them up. Next, I got 3 peonies, and I got them because look at the name, Laura Dessert, and of course they're beautiful. I mean, just that white with the creamy yellow center. Here's some of the stats on them. 3 feet tall, fragrant, and I don't really have, let's see, I think I maybe have 2 peonies in this yard that I didn't even plant. They're from the previous owners. So I'm really looking forward to getting more in my garden. And then I got this little flat of goodies. So first off, I did a post on Instagram and an Instagram story about these primrose. Look at those. Aren't they the most fluffy primrose you've about ever seen? So they're called Primula Ballerina Cream. Let me flip it over so you can see. So it says they're hardy to -30. If that is true, is that right? Let me look closer. Yeah. -30. If that is right, then I'm going to be so excited that they're actually perennial here. Anyway, you can pause there if you want to learn a little bit more about them. But they do well in a shadier spot, which is great. In fact, wouldn't they be pretty in one of these? I may pop my mom's up with both of these primrose. I got a Cuban oregano, which is a type of plectranthus actually. Ornamental herb. It smells amazing. Just pulling it out of the box right there, I can smell it. So plectranthus there, tender perennial. These actually have been just sitting on my counter for the last couple of days since we got home. I haven't had a chance to show you guys yet until today. And then I picked up 3 hardy orchids. Is that what they're called? Yeah. Hardy ground orchid. There's the botanical name there. I've never seen these before, to be honest. Like, I don't really know much about these at all, but they said they were zone 5 through 8, bloom April through June, and check out the flowers. Look like an orchid. Can you even believe that? They probably like acidic soil and kind of mountainous wet conditions, I'm kind of guessing, but I thought I would try them and see what kind of luck I had with them. So that is my little haul from Seattle. We actually drove there from here, which takes about 7 hours. Benjamin came with us, as well as my sister-in-law, who is Benjamin's best buddy. So she came, she watched Benjamin when we did a little bit of work. So it was a really great trip. We all had a good time. And then, like I said, I was so inspired seeing all of the beautiful stuff that I came home and bought some new things. So the first 2 things are right behind me, a couple new containers. Aren't these pots beautiful? These are from Unique Stone. They're called a garland jardiniere or something like that. I don't know. We'll link it down below. Let me get closer so you can see some detail. But you can see the garlands on them. Beautiful. I had been kind of eyeballing these prior to the show, but the show gave me fuel to buy them. It doesn't take much. I had just got done telling Erin that I want to do a lot more containers. Now that we've set up so many more of our plants and containers on drip, it makes it seem that much more attainable to do more because it's really not a lot of maintenance when you have drip run to them, because I don't have to be out there daily looking at them. So I told them I wanted to do more groupings of pots this year, whether they're clustered in flower beds or along walkways. Not necessarily like flanking and opening, and then I go ahead and buy 2 and flank and opening. But I do think I want to add more container interest, and maybe not like matching all the containers in terms of what I'm putting in all of them, but like doing, like experimenting with different textures, like doing a pot with all grasses, or doing a pot that's just monochromatic, or you know, some of those other things where I can just kind of experiment and have fun with other plants. It's a really, that's like the way I learn the best. So now I'm stopping right outside the greenhouse because I did pick up a few kind of dormant plants. It is kind of breezy out here too, you guys, so I hope that the audio isn't horrible. But this is the first one in full bloom, the Arnold Promise Witch Hazel. I do not have one of these in my garden yet, and I needed to get one. When I saw it in bloom, I thought, yep, I need to have one of these in my garden. They grow in such a beautiful vase shape, and if you remember from the tour, one of the booths, or one of the display gardens, had a huge Arnold Promise in tree form that was absolutely stunning. The next one I picked up, I showed you guys, well, I showed you in my Instagram stories if you follow me there, this Autumn Magic Chokeberry. And it grows about 5 by 5, I think, 5 by 4. But I was just really taken by these berries. I mean, they're edible, they're not poisonous, like, so if Benjamin decides he wants to try them, he totally can do that. In fact, it says on the back here they're good for like preserves and stuff. Yeah, baking, jams, I don't know if it's focusing, juice, and wine. So anyway, I just thought that berry interest was beautiful. In fact, look at the berries with the blooms. Pretty pair. And then this is the last big one I picked up. See if I can get the tag here. This is a Pixie Miniature Peach. And I actually was gonna put this one in one of the new pots, but I don't know that I'm gonna do that now that I actually have them flanking a walkway. Like I said, I wasn't gonna do. But this is a self-fruitful peach tree, so I don't need to have another variety nearby in order for it to pollinate and bear fruit. It'll do it on its own. Of course, if you have more than one variety, it's better. You'll probably get better yields, but it's not necessarily. Anyway, this one grows about 6 feet tall by 6 feet wide, but I kind of want to keep it, you know, pruned down a little bit. But it's a true dwarf compared to the other ones that are out there. I thought it would just be fun to pick up a few random things because you guys know that I have a ton of space open on the west side of our house in particular, where we ripped up all that sod last year. And so I am going to be starting a ton of flowers from seed because that's a really inexpensive way to fill up space. Plus I want more flowers for cutting. And it's just something I want to experiment with and learn more about because I always just lust after all the like flower farmers pictures on Instagram, and I always think every year, why didn't I plant more things from seed? Like, why didn't I even just try it? So I'm going to be doing that more, as well as just tossing some random stuff out in the garden just to see what takes. And so I hope that you guys are interested in kind of seeing that process. So the last things I picked up are on a garden cart right in front of me. Yeah, let me turn the camera around. So first off, you can see these 3 rhubarb. These are all Victoria variety, which I really like. They get enormous, and the top of the stalks, like toward the leaves, start off green, and then they get more deep red as you get closer to the base. And I'm considering planting all of 3 of these in a large container, and then I want to keep them in the greenhouse and let them force and grow on a little bit quicker so I can pop them out earlier on in the spring and have kind of a statement container to put somewhere. And then the rest of this cart is full of miniature evergreens. Aren't those cute? So I have a project in mind that I'm going to be working on. You guys will see it here pretty quick. But I wanted to have kind of a selection of evergreens to use, and I'll probably keep the other ones just on hand because I just find myself needing them for, you know, like if I want to do a fairy garden or some kind of fun, I don't know, project. It's nice to have them on hand. So I did get 3 of these miniature common junipers, and you can see the structure is just so nice. Here's the other 2. Just strongly upright, like kind of gives you that formal feel. There's a Minima aurea chamacyparis. I really like the yellow color. Let me hover on the tag real quick. I'll hover on all the tags if they have them, so you can read about them if you want to. Then we've got a sunburst chamacyparis, which is a little bit lower growing. You can see only grows 1 foot by 1 foot in 10 years. Very slow grower, very cute. And then this one, I really like the globe shape, and it's kind of a deeper, more emerald green. And this is called a green globe chamacyparis. And I hope that it looks like it's focused pretty good. And then I've got 2 yew right here, and these are the Irish stricta yew, columnar form of English yew. The reason I chose these is because of the texture. Look at how pretty. And then I've got the, now I don't know how to pronounce that, Thowil Hinoki cypress. I got 2 of those. They have just a really neat structure to them. There's the other one right there. And then this is a true dwarf Hinoki cypress, more globe shaped. And then if you follow me on Instagram, I did tag 2 trees. Did I only tag 2? I think I only tagged 2 trees while I was down there, but I got a eastern redbud in clump form like we have in our entry garden. I think that's like the banner photo of our Facebook page right now still, is that redbud in bloom, and I wanted to get another one of those going on the west side. And then I also tagged a serviceberry, I almost couldn't remember. Autumn Brilliance Serviceberry. Google that one. It is such a pretty tree when they bloom in the spring, beautiful. Their fall color though is what is amazing. My parents have one right in the entry of their property, like immediately on the left hand side when you walk into their garden. That's what's there. And I've always admired that tree, and a lot of the plants that, you know, I grew up with or they have in their garden now, I kind of want to incorporate into my garden just because it's nostalgic and they're pretty there, so hopefully they'll be pretty here. So anyway, let's go into the barn. I think I'm gonna grab a pot for these rhubarb and we'll get them all potted up, unless I have a pot out here. I'm seeing a terracotta one that looks promising. I don't think there's anything in that. What did I even have in here? Oh, I had a tomato and some basil. Yeah. Let me go look in the barn though, just in case. Also, you guys, only about 2 more weeks of seeing that little mound and it's gonna be gone. All right, what have we got in this menagerie? Anything big enough? So I'm thinking the terracotta pot in the greenhouse isn't quite big enough to accommodate 3 great big rhubarb plants, but I probably won't keep the rhubarb in that pot for a huge amount of time. In fact, I do want to plant them out in the landscape. I love the look of rhubarb planted in flower beds because of that huge like bold structure, and they can handle full sun here. So I know I'm gonna end up planting them out in the landscape, so I may just go ahead and kind of smush them all in that pot and see how they do. If like worst comes to worst, I can pop them out at any point and plant them. I'm just not sure exactly where I want them to go yet. So pot is a good like alternative for now, unless, yes, let's do that pot. I'm out here planting some rhubarb, bud. What do you think about that, huh? Yeah, I love you. You have your lovey. I used our pot wheels to move that big pot in here. That has made it so much easier for me to handle our big containers. So now I just need to grab soil and some fertilizer. All right, I think I got everything I need. I've got my big old pot here. Now this one is made out of black clay. I really like the simplicity of it. And it's not super thick-walled, so it's not really hard to move. It's maybe like an inch or so, maybe an inch and a half. And then I've got several bags of the organic potting mix here, as well as some starter fertilizer. I'll add some of this into the soil. And then I've got my rhubarbs. Like, look at that. These need to get out of those pots. And I think I left my gloves inside, but we're gonna do this without them today. I forgot to put a piece of drip tubing up through the bottom of this pot. So if you wanna hook your containers up to a drip system, but you don't know exactly where it's gonna go out in the landscape, or like me, I'm gonna put this in the greenhouse until I'm ready to put it out in the landscape, you want to make sure to run some drip tubing up through a drain hole so that you don't have to run it over the side, and that way you won't see it in the landscape. I just forgot to do that. So what I did was I dug out most of the soil on this side of the pot and I found a drain hole. So I'm just gonna put a length of this 1/4-inch micro tubing up through the drain hole, and I'll just leave a little bit out the side and a little bit out the bottom, and then I can hook it up to my drip system later, as well as like do my teas and all my drippers later when I'm ready. Cannot believe I forgot. Actually, I can believe I forgot. I am not detail oriented all the time, you guys. So I'm going to attempt to slide this tubing out this drain hole, and hopefully I can get a hold of it here. Got it. Yes. There we go. Mercy. So you can see the bottom right here, and this is what will curl around the top. You want to leave yourself a generous length on either end. I'm also trying out this new cart right here. Now I can't remember who exactly sent it out. I don't think there's a brand, but I'll see if we can find the link. I do like the inside of the actual cart part because it's not so big, but the only beef I have with it is that when you put the handle up, it doesn't stay up because this goes forward. See how that kind of goes forward? It pushes the handle down. I'll still use it though. I love it when we get things like this in the mail because they're always helpful in some way, and it's fun just to try out different styles of things because sometimes you find something that's amazing. The last thing I have to do is water the rhubarb in, and it's all done. And I'm real happy with it. It doesn't look like much now, but you can see one there, one right here, and one right here. I tried my best to split it into thirds, and then you can see the drip tubing is coming up here. So later I can hook up my tea, and I'll probably put 3 drippers, 1 to each root ball. And then I've got the excess out the bottom, so I can hook that into our drip system when I'm ready. So the fertilizer I incorporated in was the Biotone starter fertilizer, which I use with all my stuff that I put in the ground. It works really well for me. And then again, I'm really excited about all 3 of these being in the same container because one, I think having it in this cold frame, they'll be forced to grow on a little bit sooner, like I said. So as soon as it's warm enough, I can pop them outside and it'll be instant impact. I'll have a huge, full, beautiful container, I'm hoping, like right away. Second, this is just a holding spot until I figure out where I want them in the landscape. And then third, I like to use rhubarb a lot. There's a rhubarb crisp. It's a rhubarb strawberry crisp recipe in the Williams-Sonoma baking book. It's the most phenomenal crisp recipe ever. Maybe I'll do it in a video one day. So I like to harvest a lot. So the fact that this is the first year that I'm growing these, I don't expect them to get like enormous, so I can still harvest and still have the pot look full and beautiful instead of like only having 1 rhubarb plant in the pot and trying to harvest to where it doesn't look scant. Anyway, I just think it's gonna be fun to try it out this way. So anyway, that is pretty much it for today's video. Thought you guys might like seeing what came home with me from Seattle and from the garden center, and I'll probably post a picture of the container I'm giving to my mom once I get it full of something pretty. So anyway, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today in this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.